Namaskar, hello and welcome to CIET NCERT's live phone-in special program of Teaching Learning Interventions for Inclusive Classrooms. My name is Tanvi Khurana, and in this English class for all the 12th class students, you're watching us on PMeVIDYA channel number 12. And the topic we are going to discuss is chapter number 2, The Lost Spring. This is from your book Flamingo. If you have any questions, any queries, any doubts, please reach out to us, call us on our number 8800440559. And if you want to email us your queries, the email ID would be dth.class12@ciet.nic.in. And you're watching us on our YouTube channel, which is NCERT Official. In the live chat box also, you can write down your queries, questions and share them with us. So there are various platforms through which you can participate in this program. You can connect with us and our experts. And on your screens, you can see we have a sign language interpreter. She'll be defining each and every word to all of you. And she is Miss Payal Seni. Welcome, Payal. And along with her, we have one expert in our studio. He'll be explaining you the entire chapter in detail. So let me introduce you to him. He is Mr. Sharv Dutt Anand. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Sir is an assistant professor in special education from Manav Rachna University. So I welcome both our guests once again. And let's start this discussion on the topic, The Lost Spring. Sir, what exactly is this chapter all about, The Lost Spring?
As you can see in the title also, the lost spring, it suggests something that something is lost. So the writer in the chapter is trying to convey that the childhood of children is lost. So through the social stigmas that are attached to the childhood, the writer is trying to convey two parts of the story, wherein the children's childhood is lost due to the pay disparity in their parents' income.
Okay, so we have a flashcard in this presentation. There's a presentation you have prepared, and this flashcard you've used. How can this be used to teach a visually impaired child?
See that if in the flashcard you can see that it is a concept of rich and poor. It is a concept of rich and poor. So what we can do for children with visual impairment is that we can have a tactile flashcard for them, wherein what we can do is it can have a braille slate, and the children with visual impairment can feel the flashcard, and they can then visualize it, that what the image is trying to convey. Like in this image, it is showing poor and rich. So what we can do is we can make the children understand by touching it that what is poor and what is rich. Along with that, we would have to give them detailed explanation as to what rich is and what poor is.
Okay, so that defines a lot actually.
Yes, ma'am.
So if we are seeing this next flashcard, here you have used the real life pictures. So is it safe, is it fine, and is it the right approach to teach the children with special needs?
Yes, it is a very good question. So as we are teaching children in class 12th, these children, some or the other, they know about what rag pickers are, or they have seen rag pickers. So it is very safe and it is very useful, so that we give them real life experience. By showing them real life photos, what we are doing is that we are giving them real life experience as to what rag pickers look like. That is what our chapter is also about. It is about rag pickers, it is about bangle makers. So as real as we can get it, it will help the children to understand it even better.
Okay. So you are a special educator or special teacher, and you can help the child with disabilities to understand the meaning of this particular chapter. So how can you do that?
See, as we are dealing with children in class 12th, most of the children, even with some or the other disability, they have the concept of what rich or poor is, or what exactly the chapter is trying to deal. Now what we have to do is that we have to teach them the skill of empathy, because this chapter deals with empathizing with children who are socially below their levels, income wise. That is the main crust what we have to teach our children with special needs in class 12th.
Okay. So what exactly is the theme of this chapter?
The theme of this chapter, as you in the beginning only said, that it is about social classes, that how a similar child who is a rag picker and a child who is studying in a good school, what is the difference between them? That is what the writer Anish Jung is trying to convey through his through this chapter.
Okay.
As we can see in the first part, the chapter talks about a socio-economically weak child who is working as a rag picker, and he is the sole earner in his family. So what does he do is that he does not have opportunity for schooling. He sees other children going to schools. So one day the writer, when he steps out of his house, he casually sees the child. He sees the child, that the child is searching something in the trash. And out of curiosity, he asks the child that what he is searching. So first the child becomes a little scared. Then as soon as he opens up with the writer, he tells him that he, along with his friends, sometimes they search for money which they can find in the rags, which is very rare for them, but they like searching for it so that they can find something.
Okay. So, जैसा कि आपने कहा कि इसके first part में ये moral है. So how many parts are there in the chapter?
Ma'am, as we can see, the chapter has two parts. It is having two diverse stories. One story is about a rag picker, and the second story is about bangle makers.
Okay.
So when dealing with the first part, he raises voice. The writer Anish Jung, he raises his voice to eliminate child labor. Why? Because in both the parts, the writer has tried to convey the reality of child labor. As we can see in the first part, a child who should be going to a school is doing rag picking. And why is he doing so? Because there is no proper information to his family that child labor is illegal. That is why Anish Jung is trying to put an end to this exploitation of children.
Okay.
And if we move ahead, the first part, it tells us that the author is impressions regarding the life of poor rag pickers. That, like I explained earlier also, the rag picker, the child, he is compelled to do that work. Why? Because he does not have any other option. He is the sole earner in his family. That is why the writer is a little disturbed also, that why a child who should be going to school is forced to do menial jobs like this. So just while talking, he asks the child that why do you don't go to school? He replies that he does not have any school in his surroundings.
Okay.
So then the writer said that he will make a school. Will he join the school? The boy, he becomes very happy that if there is a school in his locality, he would really like to go to that school.
Okay.
And that is where the writer sees that the child has the curiosity, they like to go to school, but they don't have it. They don't have the basic amenities like school or other things which other children of the same group have.
Okay. Okay. सर जैसे कि हम चैप्टर से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, उसमें एक मैसेज है, एक मॉरल है. तो उस मॉरल को, क्योंकि ये चैप्टर क्लास 12th के लिए है, उन्हें हायर स्टैंडर्ड के बच्चों के लिए ये मॉरल किस तरह से समझाया जा सकता है?
Yes, we can. इन बच्चों के लिए, जैसे अभी मैंने बताया, क्लास 12th इज अ क्लास वेयरइन जो बच्चे हैं उनको मोस्ट ऑफ द थिंग्स दे आर क्लियर विद इट. सो वी डोंट नीड टू गो इन डिटेल फॉर एवरीथिंग, बट देयर आर सर्टेन थिंग्स विच आर लिटिल विच वी नीड टू टीच देम इन डिटेल, लाइक रिच एंड पुअर की क्लास डिस्पैरिटी जो है, वी नीड टू टीच देम बिकॉज आफ्टर क्लास 12 दे विल बी एंटरिंग द रियल वर्ल्ड. सो इट बिकम्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर us teachers to give them a reality check. That is why in the beginning also I told that we should keep it as real as possible. Right. We should make the children meet people like this, sweepers in their schools, the cleaners in their schools, so that they can get a touch of reality.
Absolutely. And like you said that they should get a touch of the reality. So just like you said that you are a special educator, and if you will teach the same moral to children with special needs, will there be any different method or any different approach?
Yes. There would be slight change because there we need to explain things in even more detail. Okay. Because these concepts as they are very complicated. And to teach these concepts we need this cooperation of many things, such as our society, parents and everything else. So in order to teach them these things, we need to keep in mind that coordination and cooperation of everything is there. And plus we need to have everything ready in detail.
Okay.
We need, for children with special needs, we need to have everything in video mode, in audio mode, so that if one method fails, we have another method to teach them.
Okay, okay. So, so you said there are two parts.
Exactly.
Let's go to the second part
Yes.
now and understand what exactly is
Yes.
there.
Before we begin the second part, the second part deals with the bangle makers. So, how can we teach children about bang? Because nowadays children are not aware about what glass bangles are. So, what a good strategy will be that we can show them what bangles are. Like here I have bangles of different colors. So, what we can do is for children with visual impairment also, because these bangles, some or the other way, they have engravements in them. So the children with visual impairment can feel it, and then the teacher can explain them that what the shape is, what the color is, and that is how the children with visual impairment will be able to know that what the second part will be dealing about.
Okay, okay. So, be it the bangles of different shape, size or color, it can be easily taught to the children.
Exactly.
Okay. Would you like to read out certain parts of the second part?
Exactly. The second part explores the life of Mukesh. Mukesh is a boy who belongs to the family of bangle makers, like I introduced in the earlier also, and he lives in Firozabad, which is famous for bangle making industry.
Okay.
So what Firoz does, there is an industry of at least 20,000 children who are working as bangle makers. So the writer points out that there is a need for improvement there, because children, they don't know what life beyond bangle making is.
Okay.
So the children there are in dreary state. That means that the state of children is very pathetic there.
Okay.
The writer must have visited the place, and what he saw was very disturbing. That is what he tries to tell, that children work in hot furnaces, very hot conditions, and what happens is that as a result they lose their eyesight very early.
Okay.
And same happens with adults also. And when they enter adulthood, because they work in very close capacity, there is no oxygen, there is no fresh air, and what happens is that they start developing developmental delays, developmental disabilities, such as they are not able to, their limbs are sometimes dysfunctional. So that is what the writer is trying to point out, that we need to have some sort of encouragement for these children, for these adults, so that they can come out of that situation and they can live life like other children do.
Okay, okay. So, being a teacher, what could be the best strategy, or I should say method, that can be used to make the students with special need understand the concept of poverty, which has been shown in this chapter, and make them understand the feeling of empathy and not sympathy?
Yes, it is very important. See, poverty is a topic which is a little complicated, and for teaching that topic, what we need to do is we need to use as many pictures as we can use.
Okay.
Because while we will be using pictures, we'll use live videos, we'll make children meet people like sweepers in their school and other people. What we will do is that we will make them understand that these people are not different from them. It will serve us two purposes, that they will get a real life experience and the skill of empathy will be developed in the children, and that will serve a good purpose. So the teacher will not be have to work twice, and it will be time saving also.
ओके ओके हाँ सर, हमने ऑलरेडी बात की है कि इस चैप्टर का थीम है सोशियो इकोनॉमिक क्लासेस. सो अगर यही थीम हम बच्चों को, स्पेशल नीड्स के बच्चों को समझाना चाहे, पढ़ाना चाहे, तो किस तरह से पढ़ा सकते हैं?
सी मैम, इसके लिए वी हैव टू मेथड्स. फर्स्टली व्हाट वी कैन डू इज, लाइक आई टोल्ड, दैट वी कैन यूज पिक्चर्स, रियल लाइफ पिक्चर्स अगर हम यूज करें कि उनको दिखाएं कि दिस इज व्हाट अ स्वीपर लुक्स लाइक, दिस इज व्हाट अ क्लीनर लुक लाइक्स, एंड देन व्हाट वी कैन डू इज वी कैन टीच देम that they are not different from us.
Right.
Second method is that what we can do is we can use real life objects. Real life objects, by I mean that we can have interactions with them, live interactions with sweepers in their schools. We can have a session with them where we can make them sit with sweepers, cleaners, the people who work in their canteens, so that they can get a thin of it that yes, these people are also there. It is not only in stories, it is in real life also.
Okay.
Now, Moving ahead, what we can see is that in the second part only, what the writer is trying to tell us that even though the condition is very poor, there is no respite for them, because the government, the police, the bureaucrats, they are all they do not want to improve their conditions, because whenever the writer had observed that whenever someone went to complain, their complaint was not heard. Why? Because the children, the families, they belong to lower classes. And that is what was it is the reason the writer is telling that Mukesh's family, they suffer because they are not influential. And what the writer is trying to tell us here is that when he interacted with their family did not have any knowledge of what they are doing. They were doing the things because their forefathers were doing.
Okay.
And they did not have any knowledge that they can do anything else also, anything different also. That is what the writer is trying to tell us, that we need to make them aware that they can move out of it also. They can practice different things also. That is what the second theme of this chapter is, that we need to encourage people that they can also do things which other people are able to do.
Okay. So, sir, for 12th class students, isn't it too harsh a reality to come to terms with?
Yes, ma'am, it is a little harsh, but when a child reaches class 12th, उस time पे आता है ma'am, the child is having more or less some knowledge about what the class disparity is. So, because that is the right time that we need to teach the students, because that is the time the child starts to understand the differences. उसकी क्लास में वो देखेगा कि बहुत सारे बच्चे हैं which are different from him, not only look wise, gender, but economically also. But that economic difference, the child needs to understand that it is not the other person's fault. That is why it is very important कि हम इस chapter को, इस theme को, we should make them understand thoroughly, so that later on also in their life it is clear to them not to differentiate or to discriminate anyone on the basis of economically.
Okay, so apart from the moral of the story or the theme, हम इससे और भी कुछ सीख सकते हैं. Let's say because it's an English lesson, क्या हम इससे कुछ vocabulary, grammar, उससे भी कुछ सीखने को मिलता है? Exactly,
ma'am. We can learn many things because, like in the poem, there are in the chapter there are certain words which are very new for children, such as drudgery and other blowing. Some words are there which will be very new for children.
Okay.
Because this chapter, it is written, and the words which are used, they are comparatively new to the words which the students must have heard earlier. That is why the reading of this chapter becomes very important in the classroom.
Okay.
Because we don't have time so that we cannot do reading, but whenever in the classroom, particularly when this chapter is being taught, live reading by the teacher, loud reading by the teacher, it is very important, because there are certain words in this chapter which the students will learn, new words that they can enhance their vocabulary by reading this chapter. And for children with special needs also, the learning of these new words, the spellings of these new words, how to use them, the new word in sentences, it will be a very new and very good thing for them.
Okay. So reading it out loud by the teacher will help, or would you recommend that reading should be done by the student as well?
Ma'am, firstly what should be done is that ideally the teacher should read the lesson loudly, so that all the pronunciation, all the syllabic stress, everything is clear.
Right.
And then the teacher should ask or should pinpoint or should the student, whichever student the teacher feels like, to read the chapter, to follow the instructions, so that the teacher knows that every student has followed the instruction or not, or they know the pronunciation of the word clearly or not. That will serve the purpose, that will make the students understand how to read it and how to go about pronouncing certain difficult words.
Okay. And if they still face any difficulty, can they ask the teacher again?
Sure, ma'am, because while the reading is going on, the teacher will get to know if a student is facing difficulty in pronouncing a certain word. Then the teacher will make it simpler for the child to pronounce it. The teacher can follow the strategy of breaking the word or chaining that we use for children with special needs. What that will do is that if there are words which are having more letters, while breaking the letters, while breaking the words, what the teacher can do is he or she can make the pronunciation very simple for the student.
Okay, okay. I think that will help.
Exactly.
Okay. So in the second part, जैसा कि आपने explain किया कि क्योंकि वो लोग इसलिए ये काम कर रहे थे क्योंकि उनके forefathers भी कर रहे थे. How far is it or how close is it to the real reality? Is it still going on in cities, in rural areas, in urban areas, or it's the thing of a past?
Ma'am, it is going on not much in urban areas but in rural areas. That is why, ma'am, in the beginning only when I was introducing the second part, I showed them the bangles, because the glass bangle industry, it is not a thing that we can see in towns, in urban centers. That is why these things which are more visible in villages, in smaller towns.
Okay.
So that is why, ma'am, it has become very important when we are teaching chapters like this to make the children aware about things which are being made in their country only, but it is not reaching till there where they live in the towns.
Okay, okay. So let's talk about the first part a little bit more. Would you like to read out the parts?
Sure, ma'am. The first part, as I had earlier also explained, that the writer is talking about a child, a young boy who he daily sees from his window picking rag. So he thinks that why the child is not going to school. And one fine day, the writer, he goes out and tries to have a conversation with the child. And what he tries to, firstly the child becomes a little scared, that why is he asking him questions. Then as soon as the child opens up with him, the writer asks him that why is he not going to school, and why is he picking rag, why isn't he scared that he will get injured. Then the child tells him that no, this is what he is doing and his father also does this. So then, to make things more simpler, to know more about it, the writer asks what is his name. So he tells him that his name is Sahib.
Okay.
So he tells why does he not go to school. So Sahib replies that there is no school in his area. And when he says that there is no school in his area, the writer becomes a little sad and disappointed, that why is there no school in that child's area. So then he asks him that if he builds a school, when he go to school, so child becomes very happy that if there is a school, he will surely go to school. And the next day, when the writer again meets the child spontaneously asks him that when can I go to the school. So the writer himself thinks that he is so excited for going to school that the child is not even aware that it takes time for the school to build. So he explains the child that, and he is himself also very embarrassed, that what should he tell him, that he promised him that he will make a school for him. But he was not able to make a school. So he explained him that building up a school takes a little time.
Absolutely. Okay. So this is for sure a very interesting session, and we have learned a lot from this entire discussion and from this entire chapter. And there are certain morals also we got to understand. So let's go to the next part and listen and see the keywords of this particular chapter. So we have the keywords in front of us, and they are scrounging, frail, sanctity, Okay. So now that we have last 5 minutes left, और जाने से पहले मैं सर से रिक्वेस्ट करूँगी कि सर आपको कुछ होमवर्क दें ताकि वो आप फिल करके हमें भेज सकें. सर.
Sure. As you can see, the homework, they are general questions, which are available in the end of the chapter. So there are 3 questions, but what we can do for children with special needs is that we can modify these questions. Why? Because children with special needs, they sometimes face difficulties in writing long answers. So like this, there is a question, what are some of the reasons for the migration of people from villages to cities? So what we can do is, first in the question, we can explain the children that what migration means. Then, as I have done in the next slide, what we can do is we can have a true or false question.
Okay.
Like we can ask them, people migrate from villages to city for better job opportunities. So what it will do is that it will serve the purpose of the question, and it will generate the interest of the children also to answer the questions.
Okay.
Because children with special needs, when they see something long, that they have to write something very long, they tend to get bored and they tend to get scared that we will not be able to write something so long.
Okay.
So what I would like to suggest is, as short as we can make it for them, even if the children are in class 11th or class 12th. To begin with, for children with special needs, what we can do is, we can make things simpler for them. We can ask them questions of true or false, or fill in the blanks, or we can ask them to jumble words. What that will do is that it will increase their interest in the chapter, in answering the questions, and then we can move towards asking them long answer questions. Likewise, the second question, what forces conspire to keep the workers in the bangle industry of Firozabad in poverty?
Okay.
So what we can do is that, does the mindset of the people force them to work in bangle industry? So when the child will understand about what the mindset was, that exactly because it was mindset only that their forefathers were working, that is why they wanted to work. So the child can add in it true or false. And next, the third question, mention the hazard of working in the glass bangle industry. The important question where the whole chapter comes around. So what we can do is, working in the glass bangle industries can make workers go blind. So the child will learn about what the hazards are, and when we are asking a particular question for the exam purposes, the child will remember as to what exactly has to be written in a long answer.
Okay, that's great. And let's see the format of this homework so that the students can share it in the same format. If you can see it on your screens, here is the format where firstly you have to write your name. You have to write your name, and then the date. Date is today, that is 23rd of May 2022. And then you have to write the name of the expert, which is our today's expert, and he is Mr. Sharvdat Anand. So you have to write the class as well, that is class 12. The topic, which is the Law Spring chapter number 2, and your school and your school's address, and then you have to attach the photograph, and that is totally optional. So that is the format in which you can share your homework answers with us, and you can share it on our email ID, which is dth.class12@ciet.nic.in. This was a wonderful session, there's no doubt about it, and I would like to thank our expert for this entire session. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us your time and for explaining the chapter so beautifully. Thank you. And thank you to our sign language interpreter as well. Thank you, Payal ma'am, for being with us and for interpreting each and every word so nicely. Thank you. Thank you to all the viewers for watching this session. I hope you really enjoyed it. And if you have missed it for any reason, then you can watch it again on NCERT Official, our YouTube channel. For any queries, you can still write down in the chat box and we'll receive it as soon as possible. Thank you once again. Take great care of yourself. Stay safe, stay healthy. Namaskar.